I knew I was in trouble the moment HR smiled at me. Not a warm smile. Not a friendly smile. No, this was the kind of smile you see right before a trap snaps shut. My name is Maya Torres, and I've always believed in two things: doing my job well and doing the right thing. I'm the kind of person who alphabetizes her inbox, color codes her calendar, and apologizes when someone bumps into me. I work as a project coordinator at Brixton and Hale Consulting, a place where professionalism is practically a religion. And I used to love it there. A big reason for that was Caroline, the HR manager. My go-to person. My work mom, as she liked to say. Everyone trusted Caroline. She baked cookies for new employees, remembered birthdays without checking the calendar, and had this calm, reassuring voice that made every problem feel solvable. She was the first one who welcomed me on my chaotic first day, guiding me through paperwork, office politics, and my own nervousness. For 2 years, she made me believe I mattered. But that was before everything shifted. It started small, little things that were easy to overlook. New policies she insisted we follow. Strange private meetings behind closed blinds. And her favorite rule, the one she repeated like scripture: do not record. Ever. It violates trust. She said it during onboarding, team meetings, even casual hallway conversations. No one questioned it. Why would we? Caroline seemed like the last person who'd have anything to hide. So when she invited me to her office one rainy Thursday afternoon, I didn't think twice. She said she wanted to support me during a difficult transition. Whatever that meant. I figured it had something to do with the promotion I'd applied for, the one she'd personally encouraged me to chase. I walked in drenched from the storm outside, still clutching the hopeful little smile I'd rehearsed all morning. Caroline closed the door behind me. Slowly. Too slowly. Let's have an honest conversation, Maya, she said, folding her hands neatly on her desk. Just the two of us. I should have felt comforted. Instead, something cold flicked down my spine, like the air had shifted by a few degrees. Her eyes, usually soft and warm, looked different. Sharper. Calculating. And for the first time since I'd met her, I caught myself wondering, why would someone be so obsessed with people not recording conversations? Unless they had something to hide. That was the moment I felt it. A shadow, faint but undeniable, settling over everything I thought I knew about her. Something wasn't right. Not at all. Caroline didn't start with accusations. That would have been too easy. Instead, she opened with something far more disorienting. Maya, she said gently, I've received concerns about your performance. I blinked. Performance. Mine. 2 weeks earlier, she congratulated me for handling a chaotic client handoff like a seasoned leader. What concerns? I asked. She hesitated, just long enough for the silence to feel heavy. I can't disclose specifics, she said. Confidential sources. A tiny crack formed in my chest. Caroline never hid details. Transparency was her brand. She'd always said people deserved clarity, that the unknown bred fear. Now she was manufacturing the unknown. I tried to laugh it off. Is this about the Carter project? Because I have the emails. Her smile tightened. No recording. No documentation. Let's just talk woman to woman. And there it was again. Her rule. Her favorite one. A rule that suddenly felt less like policy and more like a cage. The next morning, she acted like everything was normal. Morning, sunshine, she chirped as I passed her office. Sunshine. She hadn't called me that since my first year. It was her nickname for anxious rookies who needed reassurance. I wasn't a rookie anymore. She beckoned me inside and handed me a latte, my usual order, the same one she used to surprise me with during stressful project cycles. But the sweetness tasted wrong. Forced. Like a peace offering for a war I didn't know had started. Later that afternoon, I overheard 2 associates whispering in the break room. Caroline said Maya blew another deadline. I stopped mid-step. I hadn't blown any deadlines. Not even close. When they saw me, they froze, exchanged quick glances, and scrambled out the door like I was radioactive. The words sat in my stomach like a stone. Why would Caroline say that? Why would she talk about me at all? I confronted her, gently, because that's who I was. Hey, I heard something strange. Did you mention anything to the associates about my workload? Her expression flickered. For a millisecond. But I saw it, the shift. Maya, she said softly, people talk. You can't control that. That wasn't an answer. And she knew I knew it. The following day, she walked right past me without so much as a hello. No smile, no latte, not even eye contact. Then, during a team meeting, she suddenly gushed about me, calling me the backbone of the department, praising my organization, even patting my shoulder like we were back to being inseparable. It was whiplash. Warmth to ice to forced affection. And each switch cut a little deeper. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe in her. This was Caroline, my mentor, my guide, the person who once told me, "You're going to lead this company someday." But every time she looked at me now, I couldn't shake the feeling that she was studying me, measuring me, waiting for something. Something I hadn't yet realized I'd already lost. I wish I could say the truth came out gracefully. It didn't. It crashed into me like a file cabinet tipped from the 10th floor. It happened on a Tuesday, one of those grey, suffocating corporate Tuesdays where the air feels stale and no one makes eye contact. I had just wrapped up a client call when my inbox chimed. My stomach fluttered. Finally. I clicked. What I saw made the world tilt sideways. Attached was a forwarded email chain, sent anonymously, from the executive director to Caroline. Caroline had written, "Maya is not ready for leadership. She's been late on multiple deadlines, has shown poor communication, and has created tension within the team. I strongly advise against promoting her at this time." Lies. Every line. Fabricated from thin air. She hadn't just planted doubts. She had buried my entire future and packed down the soil. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped the mouse. The promotion, my promotion, the one she encouraged me to chase, had never been real. She strung me along while poisoning my reputation behind closed doors. My throat tightened, hot and painful. I felt stupid. No, worse. Betrayed. And then a second email loaded. The executive director responded. "Thanks for the insight, Caroline. Given your recommendation, we'll be moving forward with Alex instead." Alex. The new guy she'd been fawning over for weeks. The one who reminded her of young talent she wanted to nurture. The one she conveniently never warned about the do not record rule. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was sabotage. And the more I scrolled, the clearer it became. She'd been building a case against me for months, quietly, strategically, slipping in comments about my emotional volatility and lack of initiative. She accused me of errors I never made, meetings I never missed, conversations we never had. She weaponized her trust, her voice, her role. HR wasn't supposed to destroy people. But Caroline? She'd been chiseling away at me like it was her side project. My vision blurred. My pulse hammered. Every memory of her, the birthday card she wrote me, the latte surprises, the pep talks, twisted into something ugly. I wasn't her protégé. I was her pawn. And suddenly her obsession made perfect, chilling sense. Do not record. Ever. Because recordings reveal the truth. I leaned back in my chair, swallowing the sob clawing up my throat. The office hummed around me, printers, clicking keyboards, fake laughter, but I heard none of it. All I heard was my heartbeat. Slow, steady, changing. The hurt began to harden. The disbelief cooled into something sharper. In that quiet moment, no crying, no screaming, just silence, something shifted inside me. If Caroline wanted a world without recordings, she was about to see what happened when someone stopped following her rules. And for the first time, revenge didn't scare me. It called to me. I didn't break right away. I held myself together long enough to reach the stairwell, for heavy steel doors away from anyone who might see me fall apart. And then I crumbled. The moment the door shut behind me, the weight of Caroline's betrayal slammed into my chest so hard my knees buckled. I slid down the cold concrete wall, shaking, trying to breathe through the sting in my throat. How could she do this? How could she smile at me every morning while dismantling my career piece by piece? How could I have been so naive? I buried my face in my hands and let the tears fall silently. The stairwell echoed every shaky breath, every soft sob, every bit of the heartbreak she'd engineered. And in that moment, I felt small. So small I thought I might disappear entirely. That's when my phone buzzed. A message from my younger sister, Elena. Proud of you always. You're stronger than you think. She sent it at random, not knowing I was falling apart in a stairwell. But those words, they hit something inside me I'd forgotten existed. Stronger than you think. I wiped my face with my sleeve, forcing my breathing to slow. I remembered Caroline's first compliment to me 2 years ago. Maya, you're resilient. You bounce back faster than anyone I've met. Funny how she'd used my strength to push me harder, until she needed me weak. I wasn't weak. Not really. Just wounded. And wounded things don't stay down forever. The trigger. As I stood to leave, something slipped from my pocket, the badge access card Caroline had given me when I first joined the company. I picked it up, staring at her handwriting on the back. Welcome to your new beginning. The irony stung, and then something inside me ignited. A new beginning. She was right, just not in the way she intended. Because now I saw her clearly. The mood swings, the lies, the secrecy, the obsession with do not record. She wasn't protecting the company. She was protecting herself. From her own manipulations. From her own cruelty. And if she built her power on silence, then breaking that silence was how I would take her down. Not recklessly. Not emotionally. Strategically. Exactly the way she'd hurt me. One quiet, precise move at a time. Rising. I exhaled sharply, steadying myself. The heartbreak didn't fade, but it shifted. It became fuel. By the time I pushed open the stairwell door, my steps were no longer shaky. My hands no longer trembled. Something new lived behind my eyes. Something colder, sharper. Caroline thought she'd chosen the perfect victim. She was about to learn I wasn't a victim at all. I paused in the hallway, whispering a promise into the empty air. I'm going to get the truth, and I'm going to make you answer for every lie. A vow. A mission. A new beginning, just not the one she planned. Caroline always said the strongest people in the company were the ones who stayed collected, composed, and cooperative. So that's exactly what I became. Cold. Quiet. Unshakably polite. And she didn't suspect a thing. The first move was subtle. I spent lunch breaks combing through emails, calendar invites, Slack threads, anywhere her fingerprints might linger. She was careful, but not perfect. HR managers rarely are. She'd left a trail. Contradictions in her written performance notes. Inconsistencies in her time-stamped warnings. And emails where she conveniently forgot to include me in conversations about my own projects. A pattern emerged, one too clean, too curated, too manufactured to be accidental. I documented everything. Screenshots. Saved PDFs. Organized folders on a personal drive she couldn't access. Caroline's first mistake? She underestimated my attention to detail. I didn't call them allies out loud. Not yet. But I knew the people Caroline dismissed, the interns she ignored, the associates she talked over, the staff she corrected in public. Caroline's sweetness had always been selective. So I started small. Hey, has Caroline ever said something odd to you? Do things ever get changed after you submit them? Do you feel like she treats everyone the same? One by one, people opened up. A junior analyst told me Caroline scolded her privately for speaking too confidently in a meeting. The receptionist mentioned Caroline had asked about my lunch breaks twice, all while claiming she doesn't micromanage anyone. Another colleague admitted he'd been pressured to give a negative comment in my review for balance. She wasn't just sabotaging me. She'd been playing God with everybody. And every whispered confession became another thread in the tapestry of her downfall. The real plan needed one thing. Her words. On record. The irony wasn't lost on me. But I wasn't stupid. I wasn't going to break the law. I researched company policy, state regulations, and HR guidelines until I knew exactly what was allowed and what wasn't. Caroline's rule was a preference, not a legal mandate. A personal commandment she enforced with fear, not fact. So I prepared. I scheduled a check-in meeting with her, something she'd see as an opportunity to scold me back into submission. I knew her patterns now. If she thought she'd won, her mask would slip. And I wanted the slip. I rehearsed the questions, the tone, the pauses, the exact moments where she'd let the truth spill out. This wasn't revenge fueled by emotion anymore. This was engineering. So I walked past her office window the day before our meeting. Caroline waved at me with that same soft, sugary smile, the one she used when she believed she controlled the entire board. She had no idea the pieces were already shifting underneath her. No idea that her favorite rule would become the weapon aimed right at her career. And as I walked away, a slow, steady certainty settled over me. Tomorrow, everything changes. Caroline walked into the conference room like it was her cathedral and we were her worshippers. The door clicked shut behind us, and she offered me that soft, motherly smile, the one she used to reel people in before gutting them. "Let's talk openly today, Maya," she said, folding her hands like a benevolent queen. "No recording, of course. Trust is important." Trust. I almost laughed. I kept my posture relaxed, my voice neutral. "Of course. I just want clarity." She brightened. She thought she'd won already. "Wonderful. I'm glad you're embracing feedback. Now, about your promotion." "My demotion," I corrected gently. She blinked once. Twice. The smile flickered. Then she leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Maya, your emotional instability is becoming a concern. You need to understand that leadership requires composure, accountability, the ability to accept criticism without falling apart." Every word was coated with honeyed venom. And every word was recorded. Legally, cleanly, with full documentation. Not audio. Not video. Live transcript. A new, company-approved accessibility tool. One that automatically transcribed meetings when activated through my laptop's accommodation settings. A tool she had approved herself 6 months earlier. Her own signature authorized the system. And she hadn't even noticed it glowing softly on my screen. The slip. "And about those missed deadlines," she continued. "I never missed any," I said. She sighed dramatically. "You did. Several. I documented them." "Caroline," I said gently, "could you show me those documentation files? Just so I can improve." She hesitated. A microscopic flinch. "I don't have them in front of me." I nodded. "Because they don't exist." Her eyes snapped to mine. For the first time, real fear cracked through her mask. I reached into my folder and slid a printed packet across the table. She skimmed the top page, and the blood drained from her face. Email inconsistencies. Fabricated timestamps. Back-channel messages advising others to critique me. Her private claims that I was unstable, unreliable, and unsuitable for leadership. Every lie she'd told, organized, highlighted, irrefutable. "And of course," I said softly, "here's the transcript from the last 10 minutes. Her gaze shot to my screen, seeing the scrolling text for the first time. Her rule, "Do not record," was dead. Her own signature had killed it. "Why you can't," she stammered. "I can," I murmured. And I did. Legally. I pressed send on the email addressed to the executive director, HR Legal, and Compliance. Caroline lunged forward. "Maya, please." But it was already done. And the moment the sent notification chimed through the room, the air changed. She slumped back into her chair, small and hollow, as if her power had been siphoned out through her shoes. The fall. Within 20 minutes, she was escorted out of the building. Not by security. By the executive director himself, silent and stone-faced. No comforting smile. No soft voice. No cookies. Just cold accountability. Her downfall mirrored her sin perfectly. She weaponized silence. So silence exposed her. She used her position to destroy others. So her position destroyed her. As Caroline passed me in the hallway, eyes glossy, she whispered, "You planned this." I met her stare, steady and calm, the way she had always wanted me to be. "No," I said. "You did." She looked away. And for the first time since this all began, Caroline had nothing left to say. The moment she disappeared through the glass doors, the office fell into a heavy, electric silence. A silence that tasted like justice. The office felt different the day after Caroline's departure. Not quieter, exactly. There was still the hum of printers, the tapping of keyboards, the soft buzz of fluorescent lights, but it carried a new weight. A weight I could finally breathe under. I walked through the hallways with a calm I hadn't known in months. Colleagues smiled at me, not out of fear, not out of politeness, but relief. Some whispered congratulations. Others just gave me small nods of understanding, as if the entire company had been collectively holding its breath while Caroline's shadow loomed over us. Her offices. Empty. Her files. Locked away. Her voice. Nothing but a fading echo. And yet, I couldn't entirely celebrate. The betrayal had left its mark. It had carved out a hollow space inside me where trust used to live. I realized that some scars don't vanish, they only change shape. The promotion I'd been denied? I received it retroactively, not as a gift, but as a restoration of what was always mine. Projects I'd been sidelined from were handed back. Meetings where my opinions had been ignored now carried weight. I finally understood what it meant to stand fully in my own power, without fear, without apology. Caroline's ruin? Complete. Rumor has it she's now under investigation at another firm, facing disciplinary action that could end her career entirely. Her favorite rule, her sacred command, "Do not record," had turned into her undoing. A cruel poetic justice I couldn't have orchestrated better myself. Sitting at my desk one evening, I scrolled through the folders I'd compiled, the evidence, the transcripts, the carefully documented lies. I realized something vital. Revenge wasn't about satisfaction. It was about reclaiming control. I had been hurt, yes, but I wasn't broken. And that truth, quiet, steady, undeniable, was more powerful than any victory email or HR sanction. I leaned back, staring out the window at the city lights. Caroline's betrayal had been a storm, and I had been forced to find my own strength in the wind. Now, the storm had passed. The air was clear. And the horizon, mine to claim. Some lessons hit harder than others. The person who tells you not to record the truth may be the one you need to watch the closest. And sometimes, the rules themselves can betray the rule breaker. If you've ever faced betrayal, someone you trusted, someone who used your loyalty against you, I want to hear your story. Share it in the comments below. And if you want more stories of deceit, revenge, and ultimate justice, make sure to subscribe, because the next story is already waiting, and it's one you won't want to miss.